right, I'm starting us off today.
What a world.
I have come up with the icebreaker question.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Okay. And if you want me to go first, I have my answer prepared.
Okay.
Because I came up with the question.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes for me.
So I already know what I'm going to say. So what is,
Okay.
I'm thinking of a food. So what is a food? If you can't come up with a food, then you can come up with anything else. But what's a food that you tried one time and it was so good and you're never going to have it again because you don't know where to find it or get it. It's inaccessible, but you would love to have it again.
This is a good question. You're going to have to go first.
Okay.
I'm going to have to think about it a little bit.
Here's mine.
Okay.
One time at Costco, I found...
Uh-huh.
Actually, there's two things at Costco that I have
geez.
never been able to find again.
You're a Costco fan.
I am. I was there this morning. But the first one, they were these mini sriracha flavored rice cakes.
Oh, we had those.
And you and I destroyed those in an afternoon.
I feel like we've had those again.
We never had them again.
What do you mean?
We had them one time.
What about the potato chips are different. That's a different thing. Remember the big purple bag? Isn't that
yeah, those are
flavored?
No, they're like sweet chili flavored.
I thought those were sriracha flavored.
No, they're not.
Oh,
These were rice cakes. These weren't potato chips. They were mini rice cakes.
I don't remember these at all.
They were so good. They were a little bit spicy.
I'm thinking of something
but they
different.
weren't too spicy where it was like uncomfortable.
And
they
what
were
happened? They
small and
just
snackable. I've
stopped?
never found them again at Costco.
Jeez, that's sad.
I Googled them. They do exist, but they're like prohibitively expensive. It's like $60 for
What?
a small bag.
What?
Yes. I was going to buy them on Amazon and I was like, oh.
$60?
I'm not even joking.
For what?
Yes, I know.
Does it cut? Are they only made in China or what?
I don't remember.
That's crazy.
But they were so good. They were so good. I even sent a picture to my mom and was
to
like,
tell her to get
look,
them?
I found these at my mom and I tell each other good stuff we find at Costco sometimes.
Yes, you guys are Costco fans.
We are Costco fans. And I even sent her a picture like, hey, you should see if you can get these at your Costco because they're so good and
Nothing.
never seen again.
So I don't have one yet, but talking about that reminded me of. Have you heard of Goldbelly before?
No.
So Goldbelly is like this service where they'll send you a food item from anywhere around the world.
Wow.
Like restaurants. Like you can go, so if you know.
And you're never going to get it again.
Dude.
It's like a once in a lifetime thing.
So if you're on vacation, like I always think about like some of the best pasta we had in New York,
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I love this.
Yeah.
So you could go on Goldbelly and see if the restaurant is on Goldbelly and get it sent to you, but it's so expensive.
And it wouldn't even be good.
It would be. It absolutely would be good.
Do you remember that pasta we had on our honeymoon in Seattle? The like sage and brown butter pasta.
That was good.
That's the best meal I ever had.
I'm trying to think of like, in my head, when I get asked that question, my mind goes to discontinued snacks from our childhood.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I don't think Dunkaroos are discontinued, but that was. Do you know what a Dunkaroo is?
No.
Dunkaroo
Is
was
that a
like
Caymanian thing?
No, I don't think so. Maybe it's
British?
it's English. I don't know. It was the mascot was a little kangaroo, and it was like graham crackers and some type of like sugar
I've
sauce
seen similar
thing
things
that you would dunk in, and But I think they still make those. Like
Maybe.
I'm almost sure they still make those. But I remember that being like
that was like your thing.
Prime. Like I loved those.
Yeah. Do you remember my other thing was the mochi that we got at Costco that one time?
Oh yeah, the frozen. Oh
no, they weren't frozen. It was the not frozen. They came in that
What?
pink box. And there were the 3 flavors.
Oh,
There
yeah,
was
I remember
green
that
tea,
one too.
red
They
bean,
don't make that
and
one
kettle.
anymore?
I've never seen it again. And I always
were
keep an
good.
eye out. The time that I bought them was around, it was like a Japanese holiday.
Oh,
I don't know if it was New Year's or like springtime celebration or what.
well, what's funny is the Japanese usually celebrate all the Western holidays.
I know.
So
They
maybe it
go
was
to KFC
Christmas.
for Christmas.
Dude, that's my
which
favorite
I
thing.
love. But yeah, I've never found those again either. And they were so good.
Yeah.
All 3 flavors were delicious, and I've never found them again. And it's been like a year, and so I've given up on finding them.
They were really good.
They were really good, and you didn't even want to try them. I made you try it. I wish I hadn't made you try it.
I don't love mochi very much, but those were really good. I think the good thing about where we live is like we have a huge Korean population and a huge Chinese population.
And a huge Hispanic population
right
as well.
So all of our grocery stores stock a lot of these international foods.
Yeah, and they're delicious.
And they're awesome.
They're so good.
I feel like we have to talk about the Japanese KFC thing a little bit. Because that's like my favorite thing
I
ever.
love that.
So if you don't know, Japan has gone through a lot of iterations of like trying to open up to Western culture, right?
Yeah.
There was the Meiji Restoration in the 1870s. Was it? Yes. And where they opened up to the world, right? And they tried to, they tried to modernize their dress. That's where a lot of the samurai culture started to fall away. But then in like, I think it's the 80s, I'm not 100% sure, of the 1980s, they started to again try and like adopt a lot of Western principles and try and open their borders up more
For tourism?
More so for like economic development and like being able to trade easier.
Okay.
And in doing that, culturally, they started adopting a lot of our, holidays.
But like not the, like here, Christmas for a lot of people is a religious holiday.
Right.
In Japan, it's a time to, I think, decorate your house with like winter themed items.
Yes, it's
go
the
on a
traditional
date and
Santa
eat
Claus.
Yeah.
Right?
Like
But
the
what-
cultural holiday.
What was so impactful about that was KFC was like, you know what?
We
can monetize this. So they did this thing, and you can look this up. It was like this traditional Christmas dinner from KFC.
That is
and
so funny.
everybody bought it. And
They
so
just
now
believed it. Do they think that we eat KFC on
that was what it was. It was like, this is the Christmas meal.
They just got lied
They
to.
got duped by the corporate overlords.
And now it's a tradition.
now
over
it's a
there.
tradition.
That is so funny.
I don't know if it's still KFC, but it's like fried chicken. It's like so cool
I love
and so
that.
funny. But like
love that.
it's so wild because Christmas is like one of their biggest holidays over there. Like they go all out with, so
But
I just think that's funny.
But New Year's is a bigger holiday for them.
I'm sure. I don't 100% know. My Japanese knowledge lies in the
Well, I
early
just know because
1800s.
my coworker who I used to work with, who's from Japan, wanted to be off on New Year's, but he was
But
happy to
not
work on
Christmas?
Christmas.
Interesting.
Yes,
Because
he told me that New Year's is.
I think that
more
makes
important
sense.
to
I
him.
feel like New Year's in a lot of Asian, like in China, the Chinese New
Chinese
Year
New
is
Year.
incredibly important.
Mhm.
I don't know how Korea celebrates the New Year.
I don't know either. I'd be interested to know.
Yeah, like I said, I studied Asian modern history, but that's like the 1700s to like the 1900s.
Mm-hmm.
So I have more of a knowledge about that. But it's really interesting, like, and that's when the other thing was they changed their uniform dress. So if you've ever seen like old, the guys are always wearing these black button-up uniform shirts from
Yeah.
like the 80s and 90s. They did that. They were like, this is Western dress. We're doing that. Meanwhile, in the 80s here,
So interesting.
nobody was wearing it, but that was their picture of Western dress.
It's their interpretation.
And so that's what they did.
That's very interesting.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
But those mochis were really good. I
Yeah.
think they were linked to some sort of holiday because they weren't even on an aisle. They were on like an
They were
end
just on
cap.
an end cap. Well, you'll
And
never see them
I've
again.
never seen them again.
Man, I'm trying to think of like restaurants that we've traveled to that was like a really good meal that we'll never. That place in Birmingham, was it in Birmingham?
Which one?
I think we were there for my cousin's graduation.
Oh my gosh. Yes, that
Dude.
was in Birmingham. That is the best meal I've ever had.
Literally a hole in the wall of a restaurant that like is in like downtown.
The family style one?
Yes.
Yeah. That place
downtown
was so
Birmingham,
good.
like in the middle of nowhere, and you walk in and like it's a fixed menu, which I usually hate because I like to have control.
I remember being very nervous
Yeah.
beforehand that you were going to
that I was going to absolutely hate it. But
because you like simple food.
I'm not a foodie. I'm not a
No.
big 5-star or whatever 4-star restaurant guy.
You're not a Michelin guy.
I don't give a good goddamn about the Michelin stars.
Yeah.
I truly don't care.
So, but everything was amazing. You even liked the ham.
Yeah, and I don't
hate ham.
I do not mess with ham. But that,
I forced you to try it.
Dude.
And it was really good.
I don't know what they were doing.
And that bread that they had,
Everything. There was not a bad thing that
there
we
was
ate
not
that
a single
night.
bad thing.
So that would probably be it. Because I don't think we'll ever go back there.
But we could.
Oh, you're saying like it's
I'm
never
saying-
gonna, but you don't know. The mochi could be back tomorrow.
I
You
don't
just
think
don't know.
so. I check every single Saturday. Every week I look for those sriracha chips and I look for those mochi.
And they're never there.
They're
it's been
never
a year.
there.
I'm
And
trying
I
to
will
think of
never
like,
find them again.
I'm trying to think of childhood restaurants. I mean, when I was in Cayman, the big one was the Taco Bell closed down. And
Rest in peace, Taco Bell.
Dude, I mourned for that Taco Bell.
But then you moved to America and now
And
you
so
eat
now
Taco
Taco Bell's
again.
right. But when that happened,
That was a big moment.
What was so funny is like, I didn't even eat like Taco Bell. Like,
what did you eat at Taco
I would
Bell?
go to Taco Bell and just get a soft taco with beef and cheese, and that's it. But I was
Like your mom can make that.
No, but it's never the same. It's
As
never
that
the same.
wet Taco Bell tortilla.
And that fake beef, plasticky cheese, and it's never the same at home. I'm just saying.
So much better at home.
No, not true. Like, there's something to be said about pure, clean ingredients eating at home. But
it is such a guilty pleasure.
It's chemically made to taste better.
It's like when I used to watch The Bachelor.
Right.
It's gross.
Is there better television?
But it's so good.
Yes. Is it still fine to indulge in those stupid shows every now and again?
It's great.
Guys, I got to be 100% honest with you. I am so tired today.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can tell. I'm falling asleep at the chair right now. I feel like I'm slurring my words.
Let me ask you then, like when you've been going through some really hard training and you're exhausted, what is some of your go-to tactics to try and feel better and recover? Besides taking a deload week.
Yeah, I would say
goes without saying.
Macro would have to be deload, but like I'm week 4 of 6 right now on like an intensity wave.
Yeah.
So I'm deep.
So like what's 1 or 2 things that you can do today to make it through the day and to hopefully feel a little better tomorrow?
I mean, that's really hard because like, so today to get to work out, I had to take my pre-workout.
Okay.
Caffeine.
Yeah.
I had to last night like force the Celtics are playing the Sixers in the playoffs right now. I'm a huge Celtics fan. But I was like, I can't watch the game because if I watch the game, I'm going to stay up too late.
And for you, that takes so much discipline.
Yeah.
To not watch a sports game. Oh. You love sports.
I'm trying to not love sports because all it does is make me sad. Like Arsenal,
raise your blood pressure.
Arsenal has absolutely bottled the championship. Like we had it and then we lost it. So sad. Still in mourning about that. The Celtics, I don't trust that team as far as I can throw them.
They seem to do better when you go to sleep.
I guess so. Who else? Every sports team that I like is like so close yet so far away.
Yeah.
So I'm trying not to be super impacted by sports, but it's like,
okay,
you just can't quit them. You know, it's like I don't have any. It's so wild. I have no effect on the outcome of any of these games. Yet I approach watching them as if I have full control over the outcome.
You can't affect them, but they affect you
me
so much.
Oh yeah.
So taking a step away from that and getting
that was more
early,
so sleep.
Yeah. But I think it has double benefit.
Yeah.
You know, if they had lost now, you would be upset and tired today.
Yeah, true. Anyway, as I get better and better with my training and like programming, it's easier to never allow yourself to get into that situation. But again, life is crazy sometimes, right? So what I mean by never allow yourself to get in that situation is your programming should be intelligently done enough that there are lower impact days. There are lower intensity days within the 6-week-long mesocycle.
Yeah.
There is an opportunity to say, okay, I'm going in to get some touches. And this is, everybody has different definitions for it. The conjugate method was always max effort and speed work. So on max effort days, you were going in and blood's coming out of your eyes. Like you were doing a max effort lift. And then you'd have a speed work where it would be 50% of your 1 rep max for like 2 reps and as fast as you can just to get touches, but it's not going to be fully.
And like technique practice. Okay.
So I have been doing a little bit of that, not the same type of max effort speed work framework, but that same type of idea of like, okay, this is my secondary bench press day. I'm going in with the same intent of like, I'm going to do some technique work, but the relative intensity is going to be a little bit lower. So that's one thing.
Okay.
Acutely, like on days like this, there's really no way to pull yourself out of it.
Take it through the day the best you can.
That's it. Like, honestly, the other thing is the more that I age and the more that my training age increases, the more experience I get. Sleep, man. Don't buy any of the. Nobody has a recovery supplement that is going to be as good as getting 8 to 9 hours of sleep. I promise you. I've done them all. I've done everything. Ice bath, heat, massage. I've done all of it. It does not work as well as just going to bed. And that's beautiful.
Yeah.
We have the tool within us. We have it.
That is a beautiful thing.
It's beautiful.
It's accessible to everybody.
Everybody can do it. The issue is nobody wants to do it.
There's so many Instagram reels to swipe through in the middle of the night.
Well, that's the thing.
Right?
We are in a society where you have so many distractions. And I think a lot of people have like a fear of missing out. At least for me, when I always loved staying up incredibly late because I felt like, oh, I'm getting everything that I need to get, or I'm in the, whatever.
In fact, last night I was scrolling through reels and I wasn't even enjoying them and I was so tired.
Oh yeah.
But I just kept.
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's when you pull back the curtain, it's formulated to do that.
Yeah.
That's what they want.
Crazy. I was literally falling asleep. Oh, I'll just watch one more.
And I think that is more the norm than it is the exception, because give these people credit. These social media, they are incredibly intelligent. The algorithm is incredibly sophisticated. They know what they're doing in order to keep you on this platform. They do. Even though in your conscious mind, you could say, why am I doing this? I'm wasting time. How many times do you reach for your phone out of habit? Or swipe up and click onto Instagram out of habit, because we've become conditioned to do that.
Yeah. Well,
Crazy
I think
stuff.
you have even noticed you usually take Sundays off of like working
Everything.
and scrolling.
Work, social media.
And you've mentioned to me many times how habitual because on those days you're really tuned into it, how habitual it is to just and open up a social media app.
Well, I have an app blocker that I've set up for all of Sunday. I can't check my YouTube analytics, and I cannot check Instagram.
And you don't get any notifications.
And I don't get any, because those are the two things that I have noticed take the most of my time away. But when I go to sit down on the toilet, boom. Oh, and then the app blocker comes up. Nope, can't do it. And it tells you how many times you've done it. And I'll get through a Sunday.
It tells you how many. Oh, that's
I'll get through a
wild.
Sunday and it'll be like, you tried to access Instagram 15 times today. And it's like, what? I don't remember any of that. It's all subconscious habitual behavior. Crazy stuff. Like crazy stuff.
That really is crazy. Well, and last week I decided to not be on social media during the day. And I used
How'd that go?
It was good. When I was getting ready for bed, I did,
I
was like, it's bedtime. I'll just, 5 minutes. And that was fine.
But I would argue that's probably more impactful to you than like taking, 10 minutes after your lunch break to do it.
Yeah.
I really think that, again, back to the sleep thing, like building time for your brain to actually like not have to deal with all the visual stimuli that is on Instagram or TikTok is really important.
That's a great point.
Because it's like, if you actually think about, usually you're seeing like 5 to 10 seconds of a reel and then you're swiping. That is so much visual stimulus that your brain has to parse through. Like that's chaos. There's nothing in the world that is like that.
That's very true.
Right? It's like psychosis. True. Like it's crazy how fat. So I think, and I don't have any science to back this up, but I think that if you give yourself like, 20 minutes before you go to bed to like deregulate some of that visual stimulus, and that can be deep breathing. I recommend to a lot of my clients like a deep breathing or like a light stretch where you're, kind of, because
relaxing.
Yeah, because it's mind body when you're trying to get to sleep. And I'm not going to say I'm the worst sleeper in the world, but I'm up there, top 10.
And I just got to say, sleep is my superpower.
And you are the best sleeper.
I sleep great.
But man, it's.
But maybe I could sleep even better if I didn't scroll on my phone right before bed.
I just think that we've built a culture, for better or worse, for worse. It's a net negative of there's so much stuff going on that you can just get caught up in it and miss out on 1 to 2 hours of sleep, which will play a massive role in your next day.
And it adds up over time.
Oh yeah, sleep debt is a real thing.
Yeah.
It's a real thing, and. I have done so much work to try and get my sleep in order because training is so important to me. And if I do not get sleep right, then I do not get the reward of a good training session, And so but even then, like 2-3 years ago, I was like, I don't care. I'm still going to stay up and watch whatever.
But then I think you found the same joy and fulfillment in waking up early as you did with staying up late.
Yes, that's a great point. Because when I would stay up late, I would love the feeling of just me being alone in the world.
And having the time to relax and
Yeah.
take in information.
I love that. Like, so
think.
it's so sad because I have nostalgia for the time in 2020 when I was
Nocturnal.
at the worst mental health state I've ever been at, horribly addicted to food and alcohol. But I have nostalgia for that because I only remember the good feeling of like, wow, I'm awake when nobody else. I can't explain it.
Yeah.
I loved that feeling of being the one. Everybody else is asleep around me.
Yeah. You enjoyed the solitude.
I
and
loved
the
it.
peace.
And then I think to myself, like, but remember what else was going on.
Right.
It's like, remember how horrible you felt about yourself in general.
About everything.
Your weight was the highest it's ever been. You were the most unhealthy you've ever been mentally and physically. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, waking up early does also give me that
Yeah.
time.
And you always make a point to wake up like at least an hour before you have to go to work so
Mhm.
that you have a long, early morning to relax, do your thing.
Well, that's the other thing is like I have adopted a strict wake up time regardless of weekday, weekend,
Me too.
and that has helped a ton.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, we're cyclical creatures. We are creatures of habit. We are creatures of circadian rhythm. If you are waking up at 6 a.m. Monday through Friday and then 10 a.m. Saturday, Sunday,
Or even later, 1 p.m.
you are just throwing yourself a bunch of curveballs and your body is just not going to be able to handle that.
Yeah, your body's like, what's going on?
What's going on? So yeah, those are my thoughts on sleep. Like
So you're going to make sure to get a good night's rest
tonight. Oh, 100%. But even then, I didn't sleep poorly last night. I think it's just a lot of cumulative fatigue.
You were tired yesterday too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of like acute ways that I try and get through the day. Like I love to do like 50 minutes of intense work and then 10 minutes of kind of like a rest.
Mm-hmm.
That helps. So like I'll set a timer on my phone for like an hour of like focus because I feel like especially when I'm tired, if I don't give myself that strict, like now is the time to focus, I'm going to be so out there with my thoughts.
Yeah.
So I'm focusing on one thing, but then I know that I'm going to give myself 10 minutes to just be like,
And you know it's going to end. It's
Right.
like, okay, I can make it.
Yeah.
I've got 15 more minutes of work and
Yeah.
then I can rest.
yeah. So that's another thing that I'm doing. I never feel super beat down in the gym mentally because I love it so much. So I think I get a lot of energy from that. But when I'm doing like content work or when I'm doing programming for my clients, it's like, I also love that. But at the same time, it's like, oh,
It's
man.
maybe also because you're sitting for those things
Yeah,
rather
true.
than moving.
Well, that's the thing. I get up and walk around after the 50 minutes and that helps
Yeah.
reinvigorate me.
Yeah.
And then caffeine is powerful as long as you're using it.
In a way that you
correctly.
know works for your body.
Yeah. And be honest with yourself because there was a time like, I don't know, the beginning of this year, I was like, I can handle 500 milligrams of caffeine. No problem. I'm a big dude.
Caffeine doesn't affect me. I can have caffeine at any time
And
of day.
then I'm wondering why I'm not getting to sleep and why my sleep is disrupted. So
Yeah.
I have recently very much pared down my caffeine intake. On training days, it never gets above 250 milligrams. And
Except for today.
no, even today.
Oh, I thought you said you took 500 milligrams.
No, not today.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Did I? I don't remember.
I don't know.
I did not.
Okay.
I
Anyway.
and on non-training days, it's 100.
Okay.
And that sucks sometimes. Like today, I would really love another cup of coffee, but I know, we're recording this, it's almost noon. It's like, my sleep's going to be toasted if I do that.
Right.
So you just sit in it and you say, what can I do better the next time to make sure that this doesn't happen to me? And unfortunately, sometimes it's just going to happen to you and you just got to deal with it.
Right. Some days you're just tired
Truth.
and we just move on.
Yep.
Do the best we can.
Yep.
There's always tomorrow.
Yep. You can't feel your best all the time.
That's right.
I wanted to talk a little bit about identity because
Oh,
I've been
okay.
seeing a lot of people, a lot of the youth. I'm very plugged into the Instagram fitness stuff, right? Obviously, I'm trying to build an Instagram audience myself. And in doing that, I expose myself to what are the trends? What are a lot of people, what are they posting in the space? And I've been noticing, specifically young men, but also everybody, but I see it mostly with young men, this idea that like the gym is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that that's a little dangerous
Why?
because the gym is fickle.
Yeah.
and when I say the gym, I mean your body. Like training is fickle. Like you can do everything right, like we were just talking about, and still experience a down day. So in my head, and I'm speaking from personal experience because I also, a lot of my identity is my training and the gym. So when you go in and you've done everything right and the weight still doesn't move well, or you miss something or something goes wrong, if that's the thing that you're kind of setting who you are on top of, you crumble.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of these reels that's just like, you know, the gym is my therapy, or, you know, I'm in my villain arc or whatever, stupid stuff. And I have a tendency to apply too much meaning to stupid, inane drivel on social media. So maybe I'm doing this. Maybe
you're
people
reading
are
into it too much.
exactly.
Yeah.
Maybe people are just having a little fun, a little banter online. But I always think that whatever you're putting out comes from
there's at least some level of belief
exactly
behind it. Yeah.
And so I am going to take it all at face value, and I'm going to make commentary or talk about this stuff that I'm seeing. And I'm seeing this problem where people are tied to their cut, tied to how much weight they're losing, tied to how their numbers, their overall total in powerlifting. And that stuff goes away. At some point, you will lift your last lift. You will. You don't know when, and hopefully you have a long career. It's going to happen. The body is going to break down. It's the same with like external beauty. It's the same type of thing.
Yeah.
So if you're putting so much of your identity in that, I fear for when you do come into that moment, when it's over, how do you recover from
or
that?
when it's different, you
or
know,
when it's different,
when you're not at your like peak of youth
True.
anymore.
Yeah.
And
I love that. Basically what I'm trying to say is the gym is a great thing. It is. It's an awesome thing.
Yeah.
Like training to get yourself better is fantastic. And I really have loved the explosion of that since COVID. I think a lot of people have taken up the mantle of like, I'm going to better myself.
Yeah.
I have control of my health. I'm going to do better.
And that's great.
That's awesome. But now I think we're kind of tilting towards this is all I have.
Yeah.
This is the thing that is, I am a gym rat. I am a power lifter. I am this. I am that.
So what would you recommend?
Place your thoughts on things above. That's just what it is.
Like having a higher purpose.
100%. I, you know, for us, that's Christ. For someone else, that might be something else. But I do think that you have to have something outside of yourself that you're working towards. Maybe it's, I want to be, and it could still be gym related. I want to be an example for other people.
Yeah.
That's solid.
Or like, I want to be, you know, physically strong so that I can help other people do things.
Yeah.
You know, so that I can, you know, help my next door neighbors, you know, when they're moving.
Yeah.
Or, you know.
But it's not tied to absolute numbers in the gym, or it's not tied to your physique.
Right.
Right. I think that that's the danger zone because that will not last.
Right. What does improving your physical health help you do in your life that's meaningful?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I think you talked about that last week for a lot of like your older clients. Like, I want to be stronger so that I can sit on the floor and read a book with my grandchild and then stand up afterwards.
Yes.
Without having people haul me up off the ground.
Exactly.
And that's meaningful. And that for a lot of people is a higher purpose in their life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. I would say basically, it's so funny. There's this doctor, I think he's a doctor on Instagram, Kyle Gillette, I think is his name. But I heard a podcast with him talking, and he's all about like optimizing health. And the top of the pyramid is spiritual. And I just think that we don't connect physical.
Well, isn't that even the top of the
self-actualization
hierarchy of needs?
Yeah.
Is that Maslow's?
Yes.
Hierarchy of
It's the same type of thing. It's like having something outside of yourself to work towards, to base your identity on. So I wrestled with this myself because when I was getting super big into the gym and powerlifting, I was like, this is awesome. I wish I had started this earlier. I'm not going to have that much time. And then I'm just going to fall back into the old habits. But I became a coach because I can still love this sport and base my identity more so on how I can provide help to other people.
Right.
I guess move your thoughts inward to outward, I think is the main takeaway.
Yeah. Yeah.
we're on this earth for a short period of time. If you're so focused on yourself,
Yeah.
positive or negative, like you can be the end all be all in your, but that's still not impacting anyone else positively.
Not
what I mean?
not in and of itself.
Right.
I think we should all strive to make the world a better place than we found it.
Yeah. 100% agree.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you can do that if 90% of your day is focused inwards.
Mm-hmm. I agree completely.
Even 80%. Like
Yeah.
I am getting to a point in my life where humility is not tearing yourself down.
Mm-hmm.
Humility is not thinking about yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And I always got that wrong.
Yeah.
I always was like, I'm humble because I'm not that good, right? That's still
I
pride.
think a lot of people think that way.
That is
Like-
still pride.
like, look how humble I am. I
Exactly.
never think about myself.
Because that is still putting the onus on yourself.
Look how wonderfully humble I am.
I know, positive or negative. I struggle with this quite a bit because I was like,
I think everybody does.
oh yeah, I'm so humble because I'm just bad at this thing. So I don't like to talk about.
And I never highlight how much work I never highlight
Exactly.
anything because I'm so humble.
You can be at a place where you talk about how good you are at something and how much work that you've done and still be humble.
So that you can bring other people with you.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the main thing.
Yeah,
We're getting deep into philosophy. This is turning just into a philosophy podcast.
I like that.
When I first started this podcast, I thought it was going to be funnier, but we just get
Well,
deep.
I'm not really
You're
a
funny.
comedian.
You're funny. You
I
just
have
don't
a
think that
very-
you are.
I have a very acquired sense of humor.
I think you're hilarious.
Well, thank you.
But-
you have the acquired taste. I'm trying to
I've
think
been
of an
with you for a
item
long
that is
time.
acquired taste. Like, I don't know. I
Oysters?
guess coffee. Yeah, maybe I'm the oysters of humor.
You're the oysters of comedy. That's fine.
I just have to, not to toot my own horn, but I did come up with the caption for your most recent meme
You
reel.
did. You definitely did. It was very good.
Thank you.
I made a reel where I took
So good.
one of my favorite human beings on earth, and I don't know anything about him, but he's the dude.
Never give up.
Yeah, he's the Japanese guy, and he has, as far as I know, 2 motivational videos where he's talking about don't think about the future, everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
So I took that and I took the actual translation out, and then I put my own translation on there. And Sarah's caption was like, "I learned all my Japanese from anime, but I'm pretty sure this is what he was saying." And I thought that was hilarious. That is my worst performing reel in the past month.
I think you can probably blame
It's
that
not
on
the caption.
You can blame it on me, the oyster of
No,
humor.
it is not the caption. It is more so just like packaging, I guess. I don't know.
Oh,
But
man.
again, like this, it ties back in.
I'm not a comedian, I guess.
No, but it ties back into like, why am I putting content out? Am I putting
Yeah.
content out to bring acknowledgement to myself, or am I trying to just help people?
Yeah.
And when I feel down about the content, I can always reflect and say, it's because I'm putting too much of my worth in the content.
Mm-hmm.
One post, one video is not who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that I put this stuff out there is because there might be one person that sees it that says, I can do this same thing that he did, or I can do, I can make a change. It's possible for me. I can take this bit of information and use it positively
Mm-hmm.
in my own life.
Or even that meme that you put, your worst performing reel of all time.
Yeah.
I bet there was somebody out there who was having a bad day.
Yeah.
And saw that and hopefully was uplifted by it. And that's enough.
Awesome. That's all I need.
enough.
And
That's
because
everything you've ever wanted.
And I say that, my worst performing reel, and it still has like 300 views.
Mm-hmm.
But we are so conditioned now to like, 300 views, that's nothing. Think about 300 people.
300 people saw that. And
Crazy.
maybe it made their day better.
Yeah.
It made my day better.
I loved it. I thought it was so funny.
I had a really busy, crazy week, but I saw that and I was like, you know what?
You're strong.
I can do it.
You're capable, and you're in control of your effort. Those
And I am.
100%.
We are in control of our efforts. And even on a day like today when you're feeling kind of crappy.
Oh, yeah, I feel terrible.
You are in control of your efforts
Yep.
today.
I didn't want to be
And
doing this
that's beautiful.
podcast. And I said, you know what? We're going to do the podcast because this is when we have established doing the podcast. I'm going to come at it with the most energy that I can.
Your feeling of tiredness is not in control. Your effort is in control.
Truth.
And that is great.
So there you go. I have gone through losing my identity, and it led to a big spiral of depression and poor mental health. And if I can tell people, hey, this is what happened to me, maybe try not to let this happen to you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm
Yeah.
going to shout it from the rooftops.
Or you find somebody who's in that spiral and maybe you can help them find their way out.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And I think we should talk about that probably a little bit more next episode or something like that. Just what COVID did for my job and how I became the coach that I became.
I think that's a great idea because, I mean,
I don't think a lot of people know.
COVID turned your life upside down.
Completely changed me.
Upside down.
Like it's kind of insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll talk about that next week.
Let's
Remind me to do that. I don't, we're halfway through the episode here, so I don't want to talk. I want to give it its own time. And I did want to get to this fitness question because I thought it was really interesting.
All right,
it's
ready.
kind of programmy, so we may lose some people, but I love this question.
Okay.
So it's power building versus bodybuilding, powerlifting split. I will explain the terms. Stay with me.
You read my mind.
I know. I could see your eyes glaze over.
You saw the little spelling bee champion coming out. Definition, please.
Yes, I did.
Language of origin, please.
Okay. I have been training hypertrophy, which is the training in terms of building muscle growth, for about 3 years.
Looking muscular or being stronger?
Hypertrophy is the process
Bodybuilding.
in which your muscle is growing bigger.
Is that specific to
Bodybuilding.
bodybuilding?
This is what we're going to talk about. We got to define
I'll
these
shut
terms.
up. I'll shut up.
For about 3 years, mostly doing a push-pull leg split. Push, chest, pull, rows, legs. Okay, we're moving. We're going. Okay, on one hand, there are power building plans, but most power building plans are 4 or 5 days and only have 2 or 3 hypertrophy days. Would that be enough to maintain or even progress my physique? Or should I expect to lose some gains, quote unquote? And even the 6-day plans, I worry that fatigue will be an issue. On the other hand, there's bodybuilding and powerlifting blocks where I cycle between them over blocks of time. This seems great, but again, would I lose muscle mass during the strength blocks? Would I lose strength during the muscle building phases? Finally, I want a program that can hit both strength and hypertrophy equally, or block cycles that alternate between strength and hypertrophy, and hybrids of the two. And lastly, something I would like is not to take more than 90 or 120 minutes. TLDR, what's the difference between power building and cycling, bodybuilding, and powerlifting? I love this question.
Can I ask something?
Go for it.
So, just to preface this, I don't know anything about what he's just
This
said.
is exactly who I want to talk to, is people that
But
don't know.
I remember when we were talking about losing fat and building muscle at the same time, and the fact that it's very difficult to serve two masters.
Yeah.
Is this the same in that you cannot do both simultaneously?
Yes.
So when he's doing the power building, he will lose hypertrophy. When he's doing hypertrophy, he will lose some strength.
Let's talk about this in the context of training age.
Okay.
So you're an absolute beginner right here. You're an absolute advanced. You've reached your
You're an
genetic
expert.
potential here.
Yeah.
As you go on this journey, things need to become more specific. Because when you are new and detrained and untrained,
anything
and everything's going to be good. So this is what trips people up as they make the transition from beginner, complete novice to intermediate 1 to 2 years into training, is that when you are a beginner, you can do anything and you will gain strength and you will gain size. It's wild how much that works, how much the body adapts when you are new, when you're introducing novel stimulus. But as you become more proficient in the training style that you have been doing, you will stop making adaptation. Your body's used to it. It's not going to continue to adapt. So this is where people get in trouble. It's like, oh man, it worked for me a while ago. Why can't I just keep doing it?
So is it like you get to the point where you're now an intermediate and you would have to increase the intensity and to continue to make gains, right?
You have to increase any number of those variables.
You have to make it harder to continue.
You have to progressively overload.
So you get to the point where you would have to do so much progressive overload, split 2 ways, that it would be too much for the body and you would be totally fatigued.
Most
Is that
likely,
what you're
yes.
saying?
Well, there's two mechanisms.
Like
there.
if you're Superman, you could progressively overload in 2 different directions.
Fatigue is going to be incredibly high if
Okay.
you want to continue the same level of workload that is going to give you the same level of result that you were doing when you were a beginner.
You just can't do it anymore.
Fatigue is going to crush you. The other thing is hypertrophy and strength are trained in different contexts, which is why bodybuilders most of the time are not the strongest guys in the gym because strength is neural. It's neurological. You have to not only have muscle, but you have to train that muscle to be capable of moving at 1 rep max. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
And I'm not using the exact scientific terms here because I'm trying to talk to a general audience. But think of it as you build muscle. Okay, cool. The most effective rep ranges for building muscle, 8 to 20 reps, meaning the relative load, the amount of weight you're using, is going to be a little bit lighter.
Are you talking about building the size of the muscle tissue for hypertrophy?
Yes.
Okay.
That's when I talk about building muscle, I'm talking about
Building size.
bicep was small, now bicep big,
Okay.
right? But then we have to train that bicep to actively engage all of its fibers in a 1 rep max attempt. So when you make that transition from hypertrophy, muscle building, there has to be neurologically, there has to be a training cycle where you work in the 3 rep range, in the 2 rep range, in the 1 rep range for you to express the strength as effectively, right? So again, you're serving 2 masters. First of all, power building is a dumb marketing term that somebody came up with. It's stupid. Because every powerlifting program that I've ever done or ever prescribed has had bodybuilding assistance work to continue to build your base of muscle. Of course, if you're just going in and doing squat, bench, deadlift, good luck.
You have to do accessory
Good
muscles
luck.
as well.
But it won't work.
Okay.
It will not. It just doesn't work. So this power building versus a pure powerlifting, I hate it. It's just marketing. It's just marketing.
That's interesting.
Just marketing. Okay, I got a little off track there. Do you have any questions?
So basically what you're saying is he should pick which one matters to him more and mostly do that. But it's okay to do a little bit of, in fact, it's probably beneficial to do a little bit of both.
This is why I love having you on the podcast, because you keep me on track. Yes.
Okay. So pick your favorite.
When you are starting a mesocycle, which is a block of training, usually 4 to 8 weeks before you have to do a deload. And everybody's different, but I'm speaking in general terms. You have to say to yourself, what is my main priority?
What is my goal?
Because as you become more advanced, you will not have the resources to spread across a ton of different goals.
Right. When you're at a high level,
Yeah.
it requires a high amount of effort.
You may have a priority and a secondary, but you're not going to have I want to bring up my quads, my glutes, my biceps, my shoulder. It's not going to happen.
No.
Or I want to get strong at the squat, bench, and deadlift all at once.
Pick one.
Probably not going to happen. Again, there are genetic freaks. And if you're newer, then you will experience that. So when you're starting a mesocycle, ask yourself, what can I work on at a maintenance level to maintain where I'm at? And what do I need to really push volume, intensity, relative load to continue to make progress? This is why deloading is also very important, because as you deload, you become resensitized to lower volumes. So a traditional split would start, maybe you do 2 sets of a squat. Week 1. Week 2, you do 3 sets, so your volume has increased. Week 3, maybe you increase the relative intensity, so you go a little bit heavier, maybe 5 or 10 pounds than you had been doing. These are all progressive overload tactics, so you're continuing to make progress. But then by the time you get to week 6 or 7, and you're doing 6 sets of squats, you're crawling out of the gym. Imagine if you didn't deload at that point.
You would have to keep doing more.
In order to continue to progress, you'd have to keep pumping that volume up. Whereas if you take a proper deload, you resensitize yourself to that volume and you can start back. You keep the load the same, but now you go back down to 2 sets and you are still experiencing progress.
Do you lose a lot of strength on a deload?
Not if you're doing it correctly.
Okay.
So if you're deloading for strength, the principle that I usually do is you just reduce volume, but the intensity stays very similar. So if you ended your volume block with 3 sets, let's say 4 sets of 5 reps at 80% of your 1 rep max. For your deload session, you'd come in, maybe you'd do 2 sets at 80% of your 1 rep max, or you'd work up to 1 single so that you're still getting touches, right?
So you're still lifting the same amount of weight, you're just doing it less.
Yeah. So volume is one of the bigger drivers of fatigue, which is another thing that a lot of people get wrong, because you'd think if I do 1 rep of a max weight, I'm going to be super fatiguing. Or that's going to be super fatiguing.
So it's better to keep the weight the same, but do less.
No. So, yes, right. So
when you're deloading,
that 1 rep is not going to be as fatiguing as doing 3 by 5. with 75%.
I guess that makes more sense when you think about the time
Yeah.
of work.
Yeah. Time under tension being like
Or I'm
doing
just
reps.
thinking time that you're clocking in the gym.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it would be more tiring to be in the gym for longer.
Yes.
Even if you're lifting lighter weights, you're
And
still in there longer doing stuff that's
Right.
hard for
So
longer.
that's another thing that I had this wrong. Like
Yeah.
I would always think like, oh, I'm going in for a 1 rep max attempt, but I would go in for a 1 rep max attempt, do 2 other sets of like leg press and leave and be like, I'm going to be so tired tomorrow. Totally fine. Go in for a volume block. It's like, oh, you got 4x6 on the squat, but the weight is like 65, 70%. It's like, I'm going to be so fine. Dead the next day. Dead like toast. So that's something to always keep in mind. Basically, don't get caught up in the marketing of it all because everybody's trying to sell you something.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that they have the way that is going to get you where you want to be.
Yeah.
Not true. Especially if you're buying like a pre-built template. It could work, could not work. Probably not going to work.
It's better to have something personalized to you and your goals.
I think so. And
Yeah.
I'm kind of biased towards that because that's what I do for a job, but I have seen incredible results.
But it makes sense, right?
Right. So overall, the difference between power building and powerlifting is nil. It's just marketing. But there will be times when you need to focus more so on hypertrophy, on the building a base, building muscle. And as you're newer, I'd say spending 70% of your time doing that. Like if you're a power lifter and you want to build your 1 rep max strength in the squat, the bench, and the deadlift, doing volume accessory work is going to get you farther than just coming in and maxing out every week. It's just, you're going to kill yourself.
Yeah.
Like you are not going to get stronger doing 1s and 2s. You're going to learn how to get stronger with the muscle that you've built doing 1s and 2s as you get closer to competition.
So you basically what you're saying is if you want to get stronger, you build the size of the muscle with hypertrophy.
Yep.
And then you teach that larger muscle how to do all of its work for one big strong lift.
Yes, that is the most basic way you can say it. And obviously there are a lot of different mechanisms working there, but that is the explain it to me like I'm 3 level.
Make muscle big, teach muscle
Strong.
how to lift.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's what's so fun about it is that variety
I never knew that.
keeps things from getting stale.
Yeah. And it's effective.
Yeah.
Which is inherently rewarding.
Yes. I
Very
love
interesting.
Dude, don't get me started on programming. I'll talk about programming forever.
Even on a tired day.
Yeah, I love it. This is why I coach. It's
Yeah.
because I love it's
It
a puzzle.
energizes you.
It's a giant puzzle.
You know, it's funny. You were just telling me the other day that you don't like puzzles, but I think you like some forms of puzzles.
I like that. I like that type of puzzle. I just love like being in the trenches with my clients
Yeah.
and being like, okay, I'm my volume is really good on my quads, but too much volume on my hamstrings really burns me out. And I'm just like, okay, well, we move this variable and we'll do this and that. And then seeing that physically come to fruition, either on stage as a bodybuilder or in a competition as a powerlifter, nothing like it. It's like all
That's
the
wonderful.
levers worked. And when it doesn't work, it's like, okay, well, we got to get back in the lab and we got to do this and that.
Yeah.
Beautiful. It's my
Love
favorite
that.
thing. It's my favorite thing. I like it more than training myself, honestly,
Well, that's really cool.
you know? So yeah, sorry, that was a lot. Hopefully you guys were able to follow that. If not, there's a ton of videos on my channel about the basics of strength training and how to build your first program. I would recommend that you go see that. Or, I mean, it's all on YouTube, dude.
Yeah.
Just Google
Or
it.
call you.
Or yeah, you could call me and I could do all this thinking for you. There you go. See, I'm terrible at marketing myself, but I do this for a
You're
job.
so humble.
I'm so humble.
So humble.
So humble.
But you do this for a job and you're very good at it. So.
I would like to think so, and my clients think so. So there you go. All right, we'll save the relationship advice because the relationship advice is a long one too.
All right. And you don't quite have the energy for that?
I don't think so. We've already been talking for like an hour.
Oh, yeah. We'll save it for next time.
You got anything else you want to say?
I don't think so. Get a good night's sleep, everybody.
Yeah.
Have a great, relaxing rest of your day.
Find something for your identity to be outside of yourself.
Yeah.
It's truly, it's life changing.
Find a way to make the world a better place and get a good night's sleep so you can do it well.
Yep. All right. We'll see you. Hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, like, subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify, that's cool. I don't know. We're never going to get this thing on Apple. Apple hates me.
Oh, do you
I'm
need
an
my
Android.
help?
I'm an Android boy. So I think they know.
I'm an Apple girl. Maybe I can help you.
What's so bad about it is like, the problem is that it doesn't like our cover art.
Oh.
But I have,
Why?
because apparently it's too big, but I have made the cover art, the specified pixels, 3,000 by 3,000, which is what it says on the thing. I made it specifically for that. And then it was still like, nope, don't like it.
Who's the CEO of Apple? I'll call them.
Is it still Tim Cook? I don't know. Meanwhile, Spotify's like, I don't care.
Do
Go
whatever
ahead.
you want.
Yeah, it was the easiest thing in the world to get it on Spotify.
Well, you heard it here first. Spotify's great. Apple Podcast stinks.
Terrible.
Yep.
For me, just listen to it on YouTube.
0
I don't
out of 10.
understand.
Do not recommend Apple Podcasts.
0 out of 10.
0 out of 10. 0
Literally.
stars.
Spotify is the way.
Yeah.
All right, that's enough. No more talking now. Time to sleep.
Yeah. Rest time.
No, actually, now I've got to go cut this together and upload it.
You get a 10-minute rest.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Have a great day.